you talked about a lot with students, they wanted to get through college and get working and stuff. With the Vietnam War and stuff, did that kind of scare some students and the fact that they could be drafted? Is that like a big concern among students?
Yeah. If you were in school, and if you didn't want to be drafted, you better keep your grades up. You better keep your grades up because, I mean, they were taking them, lots of students, lots of people going, yeah. I was just fortunate and missed it, and not because I tried to miss it or dodge it. It was just circumstance of life, being married and having a child. It just worked. I mean, I was healthy, and they could have taken me that quick. So, and that was a tough time. You had the people going to Canada, the draft dodgers, and there was a lot of resentment in the country, especially from, I'd say, mid-'60s to the late '60s. There was definitely two factions, a little bit like we are today with the way the government is. It's definite. People had views very strong on both sides, very strong.
Did you have a lot of close friends that were drafted, or did you?
Yeah, I had some. I have two really good friends now that were in the war and survived. One of them was he was over there when we weren't over there, if you know what I mean. He was one of them that lived in the jungles, and he doesn't talk much about it. He'll talk a little bit about it, but not much. Then I have another one that was a tank commander that he survived. I think he said he had 3 of his crew shot out from under him, but he just, by the grace of God, he's here. But and then you just don't know, because some of the students, you graduate, you just disappear, so you really don't know what happened to them. I mean, I'm sure if it went back and could check, and I'm sure there's some that never came back. But they were taking lots of people.
Yeah, I guess to go on a different tangent, Greek life is a common thing in college. Were you a part of any fraternities or Greek life?
Not social, but Delta Sigma Pi, which is a business fraternity. I was involved with it, and I'm trying to remember. I think you were. You may have only gotten in it when maybe you were a junior and a senior, and it wasn't a social fraternity. And it wasn't that I didn't think against social, and fraternity life wasn't big on OCU campus back then. And like I say, being married and working 2 jobs, I didn't have time for it anyway. Just
right.
And most of us that were at school here, especially the business school, we didn't have time. We just didn't do it. We had a big night school here. I didn't go to night school, but they had a big night school here also. And law school was at night. That's what it was. It was a night school. In fact, that's what I remember now. That I think law school was in the business building, but at night. I think that's what it was. That's what it was.
What was the Delta Sigma Pi business fraternity like? What all was associated with that?
Not much. Not much. I mean, I still get calls from them. It's a national fraternity. You get the directory. For $100, we'll put your name in. You send you a directory or something. But it's just it was more. It was more of an honors deal, I think, more if I remember right, than it was a social deal or anything. I don't remember even having any parties or anything. So it wasn't like one of the social fraternities.
Right. So where did you live when you attended here? Or where did the majority of students live? Did they live on campus or off campus? Or?
I'd say majority lived off campus. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if we had any housing on campus back then. If we did, it had to be small. Now I think freshmen are required to live on campus. Is that right? Am I right on that? since I was married, I obviously wasn't required to live on campus. But I think most of us lived off campus. But people lived, you know, kind of in the area. I mean, like I say, I lived on 19th Street right off of Villa, and most people lived in, you know, rented houses, just, you know, wherever.
So since most people lived off campus, did a lot of people have cars, or how did they get around?
No, I think everybody had cars. Yeah, we parked about where this building is. It's about where our parking lot was, because our building was just sitting right over here. Yeah, everybody had cars, and yeah, because most people, you know, in the classes scattered, went to work or did something. I mean, I imagine there were a few that didn't work, obviously, but I think a majority. And not only I think in probably the business school, I think probably mainly a lot of the school, you know, whether it's liberal arts or whatever it was, I think a lot of people worked back then. I think they did. I don't even know, I never heard of a federal student loan program back then. So I'm thinking that the federal, that's something like you might research if you want to know. I don't think it was back, I don't think it started, it had to start after the 60s, but I don't have any idea when. So I think for that reason, you either worked and paid for your education, or your parents, or, you know, something like that, or you got a scholarship. Like now, you know, there's a lot of scholarships here, and, you know, and help on different areas. About this year, it's about 46% is what it is. So tuition is subsidized in some way. Back then, I don't remember that much, but I don't know. And it was expensive back then. It was over $100 an hour back then. If I'm thinking back, it was, you know, this private's always been pretty expensive. Like the OU back then, I think it was $15 an hour, 17. You know, OU or OSU, pretty minimal.
So did a lot of students work to pay off school, or how did most students pay for school? There wasn't.
I think they either worked or their parents or something like that. Like I say, I don't remember any federal loan programs.
Right.
I just don't think there was. I don't recall.
So with everyone having a car, was there a big car culture? Was there a lot of, like, the go-to popular car or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the best part of high school, when I grew up here at high school, was dragon maned, you know, Dickinson cars, and I was an old hot rodder anyway, built race cars and stuff, so, you know the Fonzie, you know, Fonz, the TV program Fonzo, or what's it, Fonzie, whatever. That's our generation. I mean, we were the beginning of the rock and roll generation, the street rods, all of that. That was us. You know, it was a great time to grow up. It really was. After the Second World War, I know that sounds like a long time ago, and it was, but this country was booming. I mean, I was born in 41, so I'm 73, just so you won't have to try to figure out how old I am. I'm 73, and I was born in August, and Pearl Harbor was in December of 41, so I was born about 4 months before Pearl Harbor. And my dad spent 3.5 years in the South Pacific in the Navy. And I can recall he was shipped out of Norfolk, Virginia, which is a big naval base, still is. And I had to be somewhere around 2 years old. Like I said, I maybe can't tell you what I did a month ago or 2 months, but you can remember stuff. You know, you'll figure this out one day. You may remember this class 3 years from now, you know. You may not remember what you did last week, but you remember something. But I can remember my mother driving to the gate where they allowed, you know, the security gate for the military. And the MPs would allow my dad to come out, sit in the car right there, just right close to the gate, and we'd have fried chicken dinner. My mom and my dad and I had to be 2 or 2.5 at the oldest, because he spent 3.5 years in the war, and the war was over with in 45. I mean, that's crazy how you can remember something like that. But I can still remember it. And so, it's just nuts what you remember. So, didn't mean to get off track, but that just came to mind. Like I say, stuff